Mill Serp Garage, back with another installment of Is It Tactical? And today we're bringing to you the Remington Model 51. Now the Model 51, it's a little weird. A lot of people, they look at this thing and they say, yeah, that's a pretty cool 50s pistol you got there, 50s into the 60s probably, right? With the swept design. And no, it's one of those weird things. Remington always had weird model numbers too. They always did weird stuff, but this thing was manufactured only from 1918 to 1927, not even 10 years, and they only made 65,000 of them. This one is a 1925. It's in .380 caliber. They made these in .380 and in .32. They made 2,474 of them in .380 caliber in 1925, and this is one of them. So 1925 was a long time ago, okay? 1925, Calvin Coolidge was president, all right? Mussolini dissolved Italy's parliament and became a dictator. Adolf Hitler wrote Mein Kampf and resurrected his political party. But at the same time, Hindenburg was elected the president of Germany in 1925. And this was, if you take a look at this pistol in that context, this was pretty advanced. John Pedersen right here, from the Pedersen device, and a couple of other long guns that we've checked out. He designed this thing. And he wasn't the type of guy to copy other people's stuff. I'll tell you that right now. This guy sat down with a clean drawing board and really came up with something interesting. Now, before I really go ahead, I just want to say the first installment of Is It Tactical really drew a lot of fire, especially from a couple of my friends, not even necessarily YouTube watchers, but people that I know in my personal life that, on the phone were like, what the hell is going on with that? This thing isn't tactical. What the hell are you talking about, or whatever? And it was the Italian Beretta model 1934 that I was doing. And I think maybe the actual the actual idea behind that might have been lost on some, which it really wasn't necessarily to say that these old pistols from the beginning of the 1900s could hold up against today's top of the line tactical pistols that you would want to go into combat with or something like that. That wasn't the whole idea, is to compare them to what's around now. It was just kind of to look at they all have their own interesting idiosyncrasies, where today everything kind of just filtered down, and pretty much all pistols, except for a decocker here on some, or a different button, different areas where they keep the slide release, whether it's an ambidextrous safety and some interesting little things like that. True, there are differences, but I'm saying that for the most part, they follow all the same kind of function, and it's just kind of like filtered down to what a combat pistol is. Whereas back here, everything was really kind of being, tossed around, and different things were being tried. And I think it's kind of interesting just to look at these pistols individually and look at the odd things that they had, like what they brought to the table. Since there's so many more, they're so different, And we're going to take a look at this one and see these differences. But I thought it would be interesting to look at it not necessarily just from a design standpoint, but from a very practical standpoint, and just be like, in a combat situation. And this thing, I don't think the Model 51 ever went into combat. I'd have to really check back. I kind of forgot my history on this thing. Trying to remember if there was because with a lot of these, there was like a 45 caliber version that was sent to trials and things like that, where they tried to they tried to actually use these things as wartime stuff. Like I know the Savage Model 1907, there's actually a it's unattainable. I mean, you can't even find them there. They're big money and large, you know, big collector items in auctions and stuff. But there's 45 caliber versions of that. So I don't think they ever did that with this gun. Although coming out in 1918, manufactured in 1918 was not a time for you know, where pistols were just used for you know, knocking around. 1918 was you know, anything could have ended up on a battlefield back in 1918, I'm pretty sure. So so let's take a look at this guy. This guy is really interesting. Let's take a look at just its basic operation, and then just move into some of the weird things that it has, and we'll see if those weird things can be adopted in such a way where we could say it is tactical. How about that? So we have our snap caps here from realisticsnapcaps.com. Of course, and check these guys out, man. These guys are none worse for wear here, and they are going strong. The 381s definitely took some serious abuse, man. I'm like, use these things all the time for function testing and messing around with these different guns, and these things, they take a beating and they keep on coming back. So let's just clear this thing for those that get nervous around a gun that they haven't seen get cleared. And so let's take a look at its basic operation here. It's semi-automatic, okay? It has a detachable magazine with a magazine release here in a typical location that you would see today, a thumb release. No heel release for this guy. However, our thumb release won't allow the magazine to drop. It just kind of kicks it out. You still have to use the non-shooting hand to pull it out, right? For now, let's just say. That's just how it appears. We do have a safety that's back here that is easily flipped on and off with the thumb, but it's nice that it's kind of stiff and it's tucked back out of the way into a little recess here, and there's even a little recess in the grip back here for it to fit in where that's not going to get hit accidentally. Okay, and we do have a grip safety here, and that's about it. We don't have anything else on here. Very smooth, very molded. However, we do have a magazine what is it called again? Interrupter, magazine interrupter. I can't remember what that's called for the life of me. But yeah, without the magazine in the gun, it will not fire. That right there, you could kind of say takes away from it a little bit. I know a lot of people, when they talk about tactical situations, they want it to be able to fire all the time. So if you're in the middle of a tactical reload and you have to engage, at least you'll have that one round. There's definitely something to be said for that. So that's there, and it is what it is. It's there. These things are known, okay, for cycling super smooth and for being incredibly pointable. Supposedly, when they were designed, they like took people's hands and had them extend their finger. You can see I've broken mine more than once, but they've had them extend their hands, and well, let's use one that's straight, and they would see where they were pointing. They would say, hey, just point your finger, you know, like you're pointing a gun, just point your finger, and they would see where they're pointing at, and they kind of designed the gun so that if it's in someone's hand, where they would have pointed is where it would go. So that, and you could tell they were very serious about that, because there's barely sights on this thing. Barely. So this was just kind of like a hip fire, kind of like an instinct shooting kind of thing. So if you want to talk about tactics right off the bat, you're definitely not going to be picking off anything at any distance with this thing. This thing is definitely just made, it's not necessarily a get off me, but it's definitely, you're definitely within spitting distance of somebody if you're going to be shooting at them. That's definite. So you definitely could still consider a gun that's used for close quarters, like a backup gun or something like that, as you could still make a determination on whether or not it's tactical or not, just because of that. That doesn't necessarily take away from it that it doesn't have any distance to it. So you still have different guns for different things. There might be some that could reach out a little further. There might be some that are very close quarters, and there might be some that kind of fall in between somewhere. And you could all rate them as either tactical or not, in my experience. Now, there's a couple of things interesting about this guy right off the bat that you might be able to coordinate yourself in a way that make it tactical. So let's load up this mag first of all. Let's just get this mag going. I'm just going to put 4 in here. I'm going to put 3 in here, so that we can imagine emptying and, reloading. One thing that's interesting about this grip safety here is you can't pull the trigger without the grip safety depressed. You also cannot cycle the slide without the grip safety depressed. This grip safety is the king of all grip safeties, okay? You can't go to the bathroom unless you're squeezing this grip safety. Now, when you do depress the grip safety, the slide will move. If you let go of the grip safety, pull the slide all the way back, I forgot that I loaded it, it'll lock back. That's the way to get it to lock back. And the way to get it to unlock is to squeeze the grip safety. As you can see, I had a magazine in there, so I actually loaded it. Okay, oh, there you go. There's a tactical thing. You could definitely do a nice easy breach check here. So how could we use that to our advantage? It's kind of interesting if you work with this thing now. First of all, the smoothness to the action here is clearly evident. This thing, I'm telling you, will not jam. This thing is smooth as silk. So, and 380, this is a teeny little gun, man. It really is. This is very small. 380 packs a serious punch for a gun this small. So it definitely has that going for it. So it's definitely a little pit bull. Definitely a powerful gun. 380, look, you could debate all day. 380 isn't strong enough for self-defense and this and that or whatever. It's a 9mm bullet. It's all right. It's not a 25 and it's not a 32. Okay, it has that going for it. It's a 380. 9mm, obviously, you wouldn't be having a 9mm in a gun like this small. You know what I mean? So, that's something that you could just tuck away in your pocket like this. So, you would be giving something up if you stepped up to 9mm. You would be giving something up that this gun does have going for it. Okay, so back to this now. What's interesting here is, So that was one thing, is that I try to figure out how to do this now, because I'm squeezing the grip safety, all right? I'm empty now, but let's just say I fire my last round. There's no hold open. So that's what it's going to look like after I fire my last round. Now, let's say I wanted to have the slide back locked open. What's weird about this is that if you start pulling and then you can't let go, because you're pulling the slide against the grip safety. So if you let go of the grip safety, you let go of the slide, and it's difficult. The way I found to do it is, as much as you like to train with your finger out of the trigger guard, if you start moving the slide and you transition to inside the trigger guard, you could pull it open that way, right? Now dig this. That's interesting. Now, if you drop the mag, okay, and you reinsert the magazine. Sorry. That was inadvertent. If you don't squeeze too hard, you reinsert the magazine, you could squeeze on the grip safety and chamber around immediately. That's kind of cool, because it acts like a slide release, like you would be slide releasing here, like say with a Glock, to chamber that first round after you load a mag. So dig what I'm saying here now. You have this in there, and you're empty now. You're empty. You just fired the last round. If you could pull this, if you could keep that locked open, then you drop your magazine. So now you have to pull it out with your hand, but I'm going to show you something about that. And then you come in here, and you squeeze your chamber. That's kind of slick. Now, how can we make that even slicker? Let's slicken that up even a little bit more. Let's just say, now check this out. See how the grip safety is springy? Well, here, wait, let's take this first. If we fire the last round, and then we hold it open, and we go to drop the mag, see how the mag won't fall free? But we could shuck the magazine out. Wait. Let it slam forward. There is a way to... Now, hold on a second. Swing this a little backwards. Let me take it like this first. If after you fire the last round, all right, you pull the trigger now on the empty chamber, if you notice, there's no more springiness to the grip safety. The grip safety goes away. So without having to squeeze, you could just pull the slide back and lock it back. Now, if you were to press the magazine release, the magazine is kind of loose. It will not fall free, but you could shuck it out. See that I just got rid of it. And then you could reload the mag, squeeze the grip safety, and you're ready to go. So let's take this from the top again now. Let me throw a couple of rounds in this one. All right, so what I'm saying is, I have to get rid of everything in here but one. Let me see. Oh, I got them all out. All right, so there's just one, let's say. All right. So here's your last round. Bang. It ejects. Oh, sorry, there's another one in there. Bang. Ejects. Slide comes forward. Pull the trigger on the empty chamber. Lock the slide back. Shuck the magazine out as you're reaching. Now, you never had to use the other hand. As you're reaching, you got your other mag. You're in. You're closed. You're chambered. Did you think that? It's obviously something that's... No one is used to doing that. That would be something that would be specifically for this gun, and you would have to train your ass off doing that over and over and over again. But the magazine will shuck out like that every single time if the grip safety is dead, like you pulled the trigger, and in that motion you shuck the magazine out, it will come out every time. If you press the button, it won't fall out. But as you're reaching behind you, you could shuck it out behind you. You slap the mag in, and the slides back. You grip and you chamber the first round. That, come on, if you really train that well, you'd be John Wicking that out, man, and that would look sick. People would be like, whoa, what just happened? That's a Remington Model 51. How did you do that? You could definitely reload this thing super fast that way if you got good at that. Listen, I'm going to get good at that. I'm going to show that to you in top speed, and you guys are going to be, your minds are going to be blown. So let's see, should we do something interesting with this thing? What can we do? I'm telling you, it's smooth as silk, this thing. Well, let's see, what's, can we determine what's untactical? We could take it apart, and I could show you something that, can we take it apart? It's got this, this odd pin right here. I was thinking about it earlier, and I went to take it apart, and I was like, oh yeah, look how easy I did it real easy, and I was like, oh, you won't look like you're fumbling with it. Look how easy you did it. And now it's giving me a problem. I don't think I'm taking it apart. Oh, now you'll be like, why didn't you take it apart? All right, I gotta take it apart. The thing is, you have to, oh, there we go. Oh, see, that's the pain in the ass right here, is this pin, and I always hate to use something. I like to just use my hands to do this. Okay, I got it. I had it. I freaking had it. Maybe I could just do it with my nail right from here. Yeah, you can. You don't have to be messing with that other side. Now this is wild. Check this out. You lose the mag. You make sure it's clear. And without that pin, you just grab the barrel and the whole slide just comes off like that. Interesting, right? So, yeah, look, there's a hammer in here. Oh, you can't, you won't drop without the magazine in. But I could show you that there's it. There's a hammer here. This is hammer fired. Pretty cool Pedersen design. And in here, here's where I could show you. This is, if there's any issue with this gun, that doesn't necessarily make it not tactical, but right here, there's this thing called a breech block. See how it moves inside of here? Interesting, right? There's the bolt face right there. This is like a bolt. It's not really like a bolt. It's like, they call it a breech block. And it's like a skeletonized thing that fits inside of there. And it's, to be honest with you, 4 rounds out of this thing, and I broke it the first time around. And then I've fired it since, but I had to buy a whole new gun. And just the whole new gun less the receiver. And, you know, to get the parts and everything like that. So that wasn't cheap. It was like kind of like buying 75% of another one. But I had to do what I had to do to get it rolling again. But it made me kind of wonder if John Pedersen was getting a little complex with that breech block in there. And I really wish I had another one of these laying around, the breech block thing, so I would feel really comfortable about, you know, blasting away with it. But, yeah, it is what it is. So, is it tactical? I'm not going to say anything this time because I don't want anybody jumping down my throat, but that was a pretty cool move. You must admit, that was a pretty cool move. And it's because there's some interesting stuff going on. See, if you watch, here, come check that. There's like interesting things. Watch the grip safety. Obviously, it has to be pressed when I pull the trigger, right? But it's like spring loaded. Now watch what happens when I pull the trigger. It's gone. It stays in. So then it becomes easy to, it becomes easy at that point to lock the slide back because you don't have to worry about depressing it. And when you lock the slide back, there it is again, showing itself. So shucking the magazine out as you're reaching, because you never had to, you know, if you're shucking this out now at that point, you're already reaching for your fresh mag and you're coming up with it, and you're in and closed. You can get fast with that. Come on. Is it tactical? Yes, it is. 1925, and if you practice the hell out of it, you could be tactical. John Pedersen. All right, y'all. See you next time. Let the controversy begin.